Welcome, friends. And it's the grumpy old man broadcasting from WDWL TV Studio B on Grumpy Vulture Boulevard. And for those of you that may not know, we are a division of Grumpy Vulture Productions. And if I got one more line with Grumpy Vulture in there, I'm going to kill that bird. Okay. I'm going to apologize for the volume. This could be blowing your ears off because I made a big dumb error. I told you I'm getting used to this Prism Live studio. Okay? Well, you know, in the drop-down box, you set whatever microphone you're using. Okay? Click, apply. Then, I'm adjusting the volume on the microphone. Okay? Not pay attention to that drop-down box right there. Right there. That drop-down box, which is the volume for the stream. So the last 2 or 3 videos, you've had to be like, huh? This one is probably going to blow your doors off because I'm using the Blue Yeti microphone today. If the volume is overbearing, then I will know. You don't adjust the volume or the gain on the microphone. You adjust it in that drop-down box right there. Can you see it? Can you see that drop-down box right there with the green lines? You know, by the time I get this figured out, there'll be some new fancy update to Prism Live Studio, and I'll have to relearn everything all over again. So, with that out of the way, we're going to talk about driving while intoxicated, which is a no-no. I just got through watching several YouTube videos from all around the United States with intoxicated drivers. And friends, let me tell you, some of them were the most disgusting, vile people on earth. The last one I watched was a girl in Illinois who was not 1, not 2, but 3 times over the limit. 3 times. Now, first of all, it was amazing that she was fairly coherent. Failed field sobriety test, something fierce, but the officer, while placing her under arrest, had informed her that she had not only hit 2 pedestrians, but killed them both. And on the way to the hospital, since she blew on the roadside breathalyzer 3 times over the limit, They had to do a mandatory blood draw. While they were waiting, and let me take a step back. On the drive to the hospital, she asked at least 10 times why she was being arrested. And the officer told her, "You're being arrested for suspicion of DUI and unaliving 2 people," which she denied. First of all, she said she only hit 1. And second of all, she said, "Well, he just bounced off my hood. He can't be hurt that bad." If you'd have seen the picture of the front end of her car, it looked like she went through a cinder block garage. She's in the hospital, sitting on the gurney, cross-leg style, Indian style, singing, rocking back and forth, singing a song. And then she, again, she asked the officer why she was under arrest. And he commenced to explain it to her again. Now at this point in time, the nurse comes in and starts doing the paperwork for the blood draw. And the nurse commented that she was getting ready to go on to vacation. And the officer, chit-chatting with her, asked her where she was going. And she says, "Oh, I'm going to Vegas." The drunk girl immediately gets in the conversation and says, "I'm going to Vegas too, at the end of the month. And the first thing I'm going to do when I get in the casino is order 2 Long Island iced teas." And the officer and the nurse just looked at one another. And the officer says, "You're not going anywhere except to jail." And she goes, "Well, I know the law. After 8 hours, you have to release me." He says, "Again, I'm going to tell you, you unalived 2 people." And she turns to the officer and says, "Prove it." She had no idea. No idea. How can someone be that intoxicated? And, I mean, I would have thought that maybe she had a couple of drinks. Which just goes to prove, if she was 3 times over the limit, she has built up an extreme tolerance to alcohol. Now, she was only 22. In order to get to that tolerance, she's had to be drinking since she was underage. Unbelievable. Then there was another video that I watched where, and I'm not going to mention too much about this because it made national headlines, but this person had left had left a party, but was bar hopping before the party. Left the party, headed home, doing 156 miles an hour because they read the black box from the car. 156 miles an hour. And to make matters worse, this 23-year-old girl had just came home from walking her dog and was going to put her car in the driveway. She got in the car with her doggie. This driver hit her, rear-ended at 156 miles an hour, and the car burst into flames. Needless to say, there was nothing anyone could do. And if you research it, you'll find out the rest of the information. Another video that stood out was a 21-year-old girl in Texas who was also 3 times over the limit. On the freeway, weaving, she clips the back end of one car, who immediately clips the back end of the car in front, and it was like 4 or 5 car chain reaction. In the meantime, she rolls her truck. I lost count. I believe it was 6 times. And it came back resting on the wheels. And the way the truck rolled, they were able to get the driver's door open. Okay? Now mind you, she just rolled 6 times, caused a multi-car collision, and all she had was a broken pinky finger and a gash on her forehead, and not a deep gash. Of course, she was shaken up. Luckily, she had her seatbelt on. Out of the multi-car collision, she put 6 people in the hospital, some with serious injuries. And she was 3 times over the limit. And when she got out of the truck, she couldn't even stand. Now, I'm not going to say my generation didn't drink its share, but I don't remember, out of the large group of friends that I knew, anyone getting a DUI. It was like almost unheard of. Now, I don't know if it was because now, technology is better, but I don't remember any one that I even knew in high school that had gotten a DUI. And here are 20, 21, 22, 23-year-olds consuming to the point where they are 3 times. For a lot of people, that's close to alcohol poisoning. I don't get it. And alcohol ain't cheap today. I recently went in the liquor store because every now and then I get a taste for a Bloody Mary. And I need a bottle of vodka. Now, this liquor store only carries fifths and larger. I only wanted like a pint, because a pint of vodka would last me like a year. The cheapest was $13. And that was for like Rutgut. How can these young, and I've heard stories from my friends whose kids and grandkids talk about going to bars and clubs. When you're paying like up to $8 for a shot? How can they afford, and to get 3 times the limit? That girl must have had a bar tab $150. I can think of a lot better things to do with $150. Yikes. Oh, that was the same thing I said when I picked up that Rotgut vodka. I went, oy vey, put it down, gave the guy a wave, said, have a nice day. Although I'm sure that my doctor was glad that I didn't pick that up. But I found a liquor store that sells small bottles. Now, not those little dinky one shot at a time bottles. Although, that's what I should buy. 4 or 5 of them, because I thought grocery prices were high. I can almost imagine. And back in the day, when me and my uncle drank together, we drank Glenlivet Scotch. I can almost imagine what a fifth of Glenlivet Scotch is today. Probably $50. I'm going to search. I'm going to check. I think back in the day we paid like $15. Friends, if you're going to consume at home. And if you're out, get a Lyft or an Uber. Don't try to get behind the wheel. And I heard, I've got to do some research, that in some states they have passed a law where if someone is caught driving over the limit, that they can actually go after the bar person that served, because that person behind that bar knows how much alcohol that person has poured down their gullet. But bars don't want to lose customers. Someone is totally inebriated where they can hardly walk. The bar should be allowed to take their keys and call the police. But no, they might lose a good customer. Well, what's better? Preventing that person from going out and unaliving someone? Or losing your liquor license for good? I knew a guy that owned several bars. And I know what a 2-week suspension of his license did to his customer base. It ain't worth it. He said out of the customer base that he lost for that 2 weeks that they couldn't even open up, couldn't even serve coffee. When he reopened, 60% never came back. Needless to say, after a while, he ended up selling the place. And with that, I'm going to say good night. Everyone, have a good evening. And number 30, you're the man. You're the man, number 30. Take care, everybody.